Hey everyone, nice to have you. My name is David and I'll talk to you about building AI agent swarms and economies on Olas. On my person quickly, I'm a co-founder and CEO of the labs behind Olas and a founding member of Olas itself. And I think by the end of this talk we'll have covered quite a broad array of topics, but everything centers around agents. So glad to have you here. Myself, I've been building AI agents since 2019. Obviously, at the time, we didn't have large language models that were generally usable, so it was a very different types of agents that we were building. But what always was the case since then is that agents could hold wallets, and that, together with the large language models, are, in my opinion, the two big unlocks that we had in recent years, and that really kind of make possible a whole swath of new kind of use cases in crypto and in crypto and AI. And many of you probably here because you've engaged with one or the other AI agent in recent months. We obviously have use cases ranging all the way from these kind of social agents where basically an agent has a persona given to it and then it acts that out maybe on X, all the way to things like prediction markets, where agents participate as users of those, to DeFi and beyond. Olas has been around for a while as well, since 2021, and we have use cases covering all the areas I mentioned before. If you're interested in that, go to olas.network, where you can find sort of more on those use cases. But today I really want to mostly focus on this concept of having multiple agents together do something. So one concept that comes up here is that of AI agent swarms, and we'll dive into that. Another big concept in this domain is that of AI agents forming entire economies. So I'll have something to say about that, and I'll also connect that to Olas, because Olas enables you to basically build such AI agent economies. And then finally, I'll give you a pointer to some of the applications which you can use on Olas today that kind of expose you to AI agent economies. So what is an AI agent swarm? It's actually not a new concept. So recently, I was reading a couple of articles on that topic, kind of posted in a crypto Twitter community, and I think there's often this kind of sense from these articles that this is something new, which we only have since a couple of weeks or something. Actually, this concept has been around for a very long time. So multi-agent system is this sort of subset of AI where researchers and builders have covered this concept for quite some time. But what is exciting is that the kind of agents we can build today are very different. And then that enables, obviously, kind of different kinds of AI agent swarms to be created. But now I already used that term many times. So what do we actually mean by this? So I'll try to present you with like a definition and some of the, I guess, like abstract kind of applications of this, and then we'll go into the more concrete as we go through this talk. So at its core, what we mean by this is that there's a sort of set of specialized agents that do things, often in a quite scoped context. And to make clear what it's not like one monolithic system. So right, you can take an example where you might design a system where the agent has all sorts of functionalities to attain a certain objective. So maybe in the social context, the agent itself might have access to a number of models to generate images, to generate written content, maybe even to generate videos. You might have given it access to various platforms. That could be considered a monolithic system, right? But then in a swarm context, what you might do is that you break this up into multiple agents. So rather than one agent doing everything, you have sort of individual agents that are more narrowly scoped to a certain context, like maybe posting on X or generating a short film, and then these agents can utilize each other. So whereas in a monolithic system, everything happens in this one place, in a swarm, these agents then would leverage each other. And what tends to happen is that there is a certain sort of level of cooperation. And sometimes that cooperation is sort of inbuilt, i.e., the agents are literally given the goal to be cooperative, maybe even controlled by the same entity or group of people. But sometimes that might also really be sort of the result of emergence. And that's a concept also that's been around quite a long time in multi-agent systems, whereby we describe something that sort of arises out of the interactions of those agents. So all of us here, we are agents in the human economy, right? And so when we go about our day, there's various things that emerge as an outcome, like a traffic jam maybe, or something positive, like an investment into some new kind of technology or something that arises out of the interaction of all of us. And this concept is inspired often by biology, so examples are bees and ants and so on. Now, when we talk about an AI agent economy, we're really taking that a step further. So in an AI agent swarm, we might have like a system that's rather than defined as a monolithic system, we kind of build this swarm of agents, all specialists, but sort of largely contributing to one overarching emergent outcome. In an AI agent economy, we're really introducing this element of competition and sort of trading between these entities, and put much more focus on these being like independent economic actors that might have opposing or aligned objectives, right? And so much like we don't all pull in the same directions and sometimes compete or are in outright conflict, in an AI agent economy, you would assume, you would expect the same, right? So we'll come to the concrete examples, but it's really a different kind of abstraction to the swarm, because in the swarm we often have this kind of element of cooperation, which here doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I would also say it's the more macro take, because in a way, if we kind of maybe look ahead a bit, it's totally conceivable, right, that all of us have maybe hundreds of agents that do useful things for us. And in that context, you could imagine that there's, everyone has hundreds of agents, so in total there's hundreds of billions of agents that are all sort of interacting with each other. So these can really become like significant global things, right? And we were like very at the beginning of it, and it's really, I think, correct to then start thinking of them as economies, because there'll be, recessions in the AI agent economy. There will be like growth in the AI agent economy. There will be all these kind of economic macro topics that you have in human economies that will find some form of application in the agent economies, and then I'm sure also kind of different questions and problems. So now enough on the kind of high-level concepts. Let's get concrete. So Olas has, as we know, created the largest agent economy in crypto. We've had over 4 million agent transactions so far, which means there's an agent controlled by someone in the Olas ecosystem that makes a transaction somewhere on a chain. Out of those, over 2 million have been between agents. So this is where one agent programmatically engages with another agent to get stuff done. There's across a whole range of use cases. One interesting thing is, because we use account abstraction, Olas has now done over 50% of all safe transactions ever on Gnosis chain, which is kind of nuts if you think about it, but also very predictable in a way. Like, these agents are much more capable of being up all the time and doing things all the time, whereas humans, we might make one safe transaction a week, and hopefully not the one which Bybit did the other week. But that's another topic. And what we then have here on the bottom is sort of one thing which you can find on our site as well, on olas.network, where we see the live count of daily active agents. So these are specific to a use case here. That is actually our largest agent economy, which is Predict. So Predict has had, as we can see, several million transactions in itself, which means the agents in this predict economy have transacted quite a lot. And there's kind of 4 specialized agents. So in a way, some subset of this is also an AI agent swarm. There's agents that create markets. There's agents that resolve markets. So these are prediction markets. So examples would be questions like, who will win the election, and then there's maybe a binary outcome, or a certain person winning an election. That would be a binary outcome. In our case, most of these markets are very sort of long-tail markets, so they're not like really something humans necessarily care about. But the agents, the traders, then engage with these markets, and there has been thousands of those, and as we just saw, hundreds of them active every day, and they leverage other agents again to get stuff done. So instead of those traders being sort of monolithic systems that combine all the skills into this one implementation, they leverage other agents to get stuff done. So they outsource certain tasks to other agents, like making these predictions. And if you want to learn more about this, we have a really nice explainer on the site. So I encourage you to go there. But this isn't the only agent economy on Olas. We now have quite a few, and they're all interlinking. So an example is one which we'll talk about later this week much more. Stay tuned for some announcement. It's the Mac economy, where basically it's like agents acting as service providers to other agents. And then DeFi economy, Optimus and Modius, which isn't on the slide, which are deployed on Optimism and Mode chain. Now, Olas Protocol is actually offering quite a few utilities, but one of them is really around coordinating these agent economies. And the way this works is that you can effectively describe certain sort of emergent outcomes which you want to target as a system designer in smart contracts on chain. So we call these contracts staking contracts, because from the perspective of the agents and the people who run these agents, these very much look like staking. So people stake tokens. But instead of these tokens just being staked and then sort of just sitting there for no reason, what actually happens is that we have this mechanism called proof of active agent, where the agents have to work into these objectives that are set for that kind of population of agents. So in predict, the agents have to work into specific objectives for this predict use case. And when they do and are considered active as a result, they kind of yield rewards. And that's what we call proof of active agent. And we have this whole sort of staking system which underpins that. So what's exciting about this is it's fully permissionless. So now we have this deployed, Olas is deployed on 9 chains. The staking system is deployed, I think, actively used on 4 or 5 chains. Very heavily used on Gnosis and Base, increasingly on Celo, and Mode, of course. And what happens there is that, let's say you have a new exciting use case about AI agents or AI agent swarms, and you're wondering, okay, well, there's all these agents, and I want to coordinate them to get something done. Like, I want them to create that emergent outcome. Then you can utilize this incentive mechanism to basically target these agents to do these specific things, right? So if you're interested in that, come talk to us. We have a couple of team members here. They're sitting in the audience, and we also have, we're usually sitting at stand L1. So we can walk you through this. It's a really interesting way of coordinating agents through smart contracts. Now, that's about the on-chain part. There's also a couple of other mechanisms which you can learn on the site. I don't want to go too deep there. But on the agent side, we offer by now 2 ways of, like high-level 2 ways of building agents. One is you can go very like Olas native. We call it the Olas stack. And effectively, we have like an AI agent framework. It's been around for several years, and it's has enabled all this growth and activity on Olas. It's led to very reliable sort of agent operations in production, rather than sort of maybe quick demos. But increasingly, there's an exciting sea of other frameworks, and we want to enable them to also come to Olas. So for this reason, we have created SDK, which allows you to, for instance, take an ELISA framework agent or a LangChain framework agent, or really your own home-cooked framework. Doesn't really matter what framework. And you can build their agent in that framework, and then you can deploy it into these Olas agent economies. So we have documentation for that now as well. It's alpha documentation, so I'm sure there's some edges there. But if that's something that excites you, let's say you have a prediction agent already, and you would like it to plug into Olas Predict, then that's, for example, something that's possible. Or you have an entirely new agent use case. You're curious how you could leverage Olas for this. Come talk to us. The SDK really makes this straightforward. Although if you do decide to build on the Olas stack, there's important considerations here in terms of how you can build agents. I think having built agents myself for 6 years, I see a lot of exciting developments, and I also see a lot of reinvention of the wheel kind of stuff. What I deeply believe in is that we're not at a stage yet, and I haven't seen it, where you have reliable agents that are fully based on generative, like model-based architecture. So if you want anything working reliable in production, then you need a set of rules on top. You can't just sort of prompt yourself away, and AutoGPT was maybe an example of this very early on. You just don't get anything useful out of those things. And so we always have this hybrid design where there's rules and learning-based systems. And you, as the software developer who is building on the Olas stack, have a choice which paradigm you go in. So if you want a more rules-driven design, then that's possible. So what this means is you have effectively a high-level set of train tracks, as I think about it conceptually, on which the agent travels. And then each state of this technical term is finite state machine. In each state, your agent then has maybe a choice to use a set of tools in a very open-ended way, or a model or whatever. The other way to do it is to have the model-driven design. So there, you put the model in the driving seat. Maybe you give it like some sort of system-level prompt or some sort of high-level goal, and from there, the model decides which kind of rules to call, which tools to call, and so on. Both of these approaches, I think, are very valid approaches and very interesting approaches, and really which one is the most suitable really depends on your use case and what you're trying to achieve. So both are possible in Olas. And again, if you have any interesting insights there, or just want to discuss this in general, I'm really happy to discuss agent architectures. Now, I want to wrap on a very accessible way in which you can sort of use Olas, which is we have this user-friendly, no-code application which is really targeting end users to run agents rather than developers building agents. It's called Pearl, and you can try it out yourself. There's currently 3 agents in there, and we have a massive accelerator program at the moment with over $1 million in cash and token rewards on top, where if you build valuable agent use cases and you think they might be a match, go to olas.network/accelerator, and you can see the program outline. I really would encourage you to consider that. On top of that, obviously try out the app. And there's, via the accelerator, a route for you to bring your own agent in there. So at Olas, we really have this vision that we want to bring agents to end users to abstract a lot of the complexities of crypto. And we're doing this currently with prediction markets, social agents, and DeFi agents. And there's, I'm sure, a very wide extra set of agent use cases that could be covered. We want to bring them into Pearl. So if you're building one of those agents, come talk to us. That's, I think, it, and just on time. So if you want to connect with myself, I'm on X, and it's David_NM. And obviously, here are the sites of Olas, and you can also email me. Thanks for your time, and have a nice day.